Welcome to the Daily Crew, episode number 5, where we talk about nearly random things and just make it fun, lighthearted, interesting. Today we got myself, Tyler, Ben over here joining me, and we'll just discuss some topics, and I promise you'll enjoy it. Ben, what is the first of the topics for today?
Okay, the first one is, what is an addiction society pretends is a necessity?
Oh, easy. Coffee.
Coffee. Oh,
Coffee.
Yeah.
I talked about this before. It's totally caffeine, which is by definition a stimulant drug.
Yeah.
And people would kill for their coffee. Like some people,
Yes.
like my wife, I know she has to have coffee in the morning, which is also Ben's sister, by the way. If she doesn't have coffee in the morning, it is just bad news for me. So I know like that has to happen.
Yeah.
And I think there's millions of people that are super hooked on coffee and just treat it like it's this lighthearted thing.
Yes.
And I think if you look at the different contexts, I got like they have the shirts like, oh, first coffee and all this stuff. And I like coffee too.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm addicted. But I think like caffeine in general, in the form of coffee, is a very much accepted drug addiction.
Yeah, it is. And I'm the same way. I'm the same way. Like I have to start every day. I have to start it off with coffee, or else I don't know. I'm just not as alert. I'm just not as focused. At least I don't feel like I am. A little bit more tired. Easily, I just feel like I'm not myself.
Do you know how caffeine actually works? It's interesting.
I mean,
So caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. What it does is it dulls the receptors that make you feel tired.
Yeah.
So more so than giving you energy, it just makes you feel like you're not tired version of yourself.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting distinction, because some things like are pumping you full of like B12, like energy drinks are more like giving you energy, and caffeine is more just taking away tired. It's an interesting distinction.
Yeah, I wish I've tried to go days without coffee or any caffeine, and I just end up getting the headaches, like the withdrawal headaches, which are not fun. And it's almost easier just to have a cup of coffee than it is to just not have one, but then have to go the rest of the day like regretting not having that one cup of coffee. Because then there's one, you feel more tired and stuff like that, but then you also get like the headaches and everything. It's just like, just have that cup of coffee and then let it be over with. But yes, I mean, I just think it's one of those things where it's better off not getting addicted to.
Yeah.
Don't start it if you can control it. Part of the problem is just they make coffee so good now. Different creamers, different ways to make it and stuff like that. It's just really good, and it's just a really joyful way to start the day, especially if it's like on a Monday morning.
It is a nice way to start.
Where you're like on a Monday morning, starting the week, it's just some for a lot of people that's why they get up even earlier. So they have a cup of coffee, or they just go to the make enough time to go through the drive-thru at like Starbucks or somewhere. It's like those little things that just make you happy, even though they're probably it's harmful for you, but it's one of those things we just use to get by.
Like on a Monday, or like any day that ends in Y, for most people is a great day for coffee. Because even I do enjoy on like a Saturday or Sunday, just sit for a little while, watch Today's Show or something like that. The cup of coffee is it is a nice way to start the day. Although I think a lot of people overplay, they freewheel the term addiction, I think, more than it actually is. Because like addiction is no joke, and people will do crazy things to fulfill addictions. And I think most people's love of coffee is not that far. Like they're probably not gonna break into someone's house to steal to support their coffee habit. Like drug addicts will do things like that. They will do horrible things to support and I doubt you would probably rob somebody to support coffee. Most people would not. I think it's a tolerable addiction. I think addiction is really a strong word for it.
It really is. But I mean, the funniest thing you hear about coffee is the people that will show up like late to work on a consistent basis holding like an ice cream. You hear stuff like that, like they're like a few minutes late or whatever because they just had to stop and get their like that's just funny. But there's nothing, like no one's like stabbing anybody over coffee or whatever. However, though, if you're waiting in a drive-through line for 40 minutes for coffee, I would say that maybe that's
and speaking of those drive-through lines, I've been seeing this article float around with people like at Starbucks, baristas working drive-through lines, because people always think like it's this, like pay for the person behind me kind of thing, doing this goodwill gesture, and it is a goodwill gesture with good intent. But the workers have been saying like, please stop doing that because it's so hard to keep track of that because they have like this system of this is orders total, this is customer pay, this give it. Yeah. I'm like, well, I gotta go to the next person in line and pay theirs too instead of this person, and it's just making more work for them. They're saying, if you're looking to be nice, do something besides pay for the person behind you because it's so much extra work for the staff, and that long lunch becomes longer while everyone's being nice, which is good to be. Full of that intent, but it just makes the workers have to work that much harder for it.
Yeah, I don't have some very positive thoughts about the pay it forward thing.
Why not?
I've talked about this, before, with my wife and stuff. I don't have anything wrong. I don't have with the act itself paying for someone behind. That's great. That's a good gesture. But don't get mad at the person that breaks the chain.
Yeah. Have you ever had people do that for you?
Yeah, people have paid it for with me and stuff like that, and I paid for the person behind me and stuff like that. But I can really call like some of those days where you really just went there with the intent to only spend a couple of dollars, on a cup of coffee, and then someone pays for you, and then you have that guilt of paying the person behind, and then theirs end up being twice as much as yours and stuff like that. I feel like it's good intentions. However, it's only good as long as you're not expecting anything of the person you're doing something nice for.
I don't really understand the benefit of it. So if someone pays for yours and you're kind of obligated-ish to pay for the next person, so you still got to pay for something either way. The point? Well, yeah. Who is the winner in that? Exactly. Is there any winner, or is it all hassle? If you still got to pay when you're there, why not pay for your own? I would think like, say Starbucks, just as an example, as a premium, prominent coffee brand, it seems like if I was a worker there and you were looking to pay for stuff, give maybe the drive-through person, like $100 Starbucks gift card or something, and then and they can just swipe it each time when the person comes up. It seems like that would be pretty easy for them. Yeah. I've never worked there, but that seems like that would be a pretty easy system to work in. Yeah. And at least then there's some benefit instead of only hassles, and that bugs me about a lot of things. Yeah. Speaking of a rant, Karen gets on me sometimes for this, but I think a lot of times people's lives are made harder by people trying to be nice. Yeah. And I think you get the exact opposite goal, opposite result of what your goal is. Yes. For example, stop signs. I don't always stop at a complete stop at every stop sign because two people arrive, right? And then it's no, you go, and then everyone gets their destination later because you're having this, no, you go first. So everyone's trying to be nice, and as a result of trying to be nice, everyone ends up getting to their destination later.
And no one likes to be waved through either. No one likes that. Whenever I see someone make this gesture at me, that I don't know what it is, but that really sets me off. I'm like, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to wait for you to what I'm saying? Like, if you have enough time to do this, then you can just go. You have enough time to just, like, I know what you mean. Like, really, I just feel like you should just go what your instinct says to do. Is it to just go? Then just go. Yeah. Like, we're not going to get into a 70 miles per hour head-on collision at a stop sign. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to happen, especially if we're going two different directions and stuff. Just like make up your mind what you want to do. If you want to let me through, then just sit there and wait, and then I'll be like, okay, well, you're taking forever, so I'm going to go now.
And then the person that gets there a little bit ahead of you, which should go first. Yes. And they're trying to be nice, they wave you, and then it's like this back and forth. Do I go? You hit a couple breaks here and there, and somebody finally goes. Yeah. I don't really understand it
because sometimes it's a very aggressive. It's come on, like that. Like no one likes that. Do not do that because that is a trigger for road rage.
So I think when you're trying to, here's a life lesson like NBC, the more you know. If you're gonna do a good gesture to someone, make sure there's an actual winner. Yeah. Because if it's hard for you and harder for them, then all you've done is made both your lives difficult. Yeah. Make sure there's a winner. Like sometimes there's a place in Fairview Heights here, like if you're leaving, say like the bread code and make a right turn, right? You get that? And it's always backed up with a stoplight there, and people will stop a car length and wave you in. That's actually helpful because they're going to arrive maybe one car length later, but you don't have to wait for a huge line of cars. There's a winner in that one. Yeah. So whatever side you're on of that one, take advantage of it. Sometimes it makes a whole lot of sense. Sometimes there's no winners. The phrase I use is like, there's no winners in that game. When people do something, there's no winners, so why is anybody doing it?
Yeah. Another thing for what addiction society pretends is a necessity, I feel like the constantly being connected through social media, constantly the feeling of us always having to just be connected with like 8 different like chatting services and like,
I think it is kind of an addiction. What is it? There's some chemical, is it dopamine? Something like that, which like makes you feel good, and like the scrolling of things and checking on things like releases dopamine, so it makes you addicted to, like, I think literally makes you addicted to
it's like it's like when you hear, because it's like kind of, they said it's like being at a casino. It's no different with the dopamine and stuff. Is like when you're hearing the sounds and the chimes and stuff, and if you have your notifications on, you can hear, you know, when you hear your phone make a noise or a buzz. And then when you have the push notifications on, you see the number next to one of your favorite apps. It's like you can't help but like wonder what it's for. Like,
and I kind of get the opposite. I get anxiety from the numbers next to apps.
Yeah.
So then a couple times a day, I'll go through clean out stuff and get them all gone, and then you feel relaxed because you feel like it's just piling up and you're on edge, and then so that's almost the opposite for me.
Yeah, I just feel like that is a problem that's getting actually worse and worse and worse. Like, especially like I'm guilty of this. Like, there'll be times where like, I mean, I check my screen time and I'm like, was I really looking at my screen? That, you know what I'm saying? Like on on a Sunday, I'm like, oh my gosh, I spent half of my day looking at a screen. Like, and then, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you do that every day, that's like basically half of your life. You're staring at a screen, which is, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So it's like, man, I think that is a something that we treat as like a necessity that we probably shouldn't.
Well, and I wonder a lot of times how things will be viewed in history, because there's always like a generational change. For example, I bet 100 years ago, you're like, wait a minute, you're not going to teach your kids to hunt so they can provide food for themselves?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's a big fail right there. And then it's like, you're not going to teach them to ride a horse, and then it's just the whole thing. So contextually, like as these things evolve, and then it's like, oh, you're just going to have your kids look at some device the whole time, or you're going to be scrolling through doing this. And like a generation from now, I think how history views things, I think is always interesting, because I don't know, like, and you're right, you might spend like on a lazy Saturday or Sunday or something, hours just scrolling, looking at stuff, and but you wonder what else would you have done in that amount of time? Would you have just watched TV the same time? Probably so.
Right.
So like, is it any worse than that screen? But probably people too, like, oh, when it was the radio to TV, oh, you're just gonna stare at a screen for that? And I'm like, yes, people are. And you're not gonna go outside, listen to the radio instead. It's a whole. So I think the context of as each generation changes is always interesting, because you don't. It's again an Office reference. But remember at the end of The Office when Andrew Bernard was like, I wish there was a time to know you were in the good old days before they're over. Yeah. Which is a really, I think, insightful line for that show. But it's kind of like you're never going to know how history is going to view something until a couple of decades pass. And so no one really knows how we're going to view something. Something might seem super clear now. 20 years go by of societal development and studies and technology, you might go, oh, that might have made a lot of sense then, or it's a horrible idea then. Like smoking, everyone used to smoke everywhere all the time. And then they realize it's a bad idea.
You're hearing that a lot now with people of our age and people older, that like people that grew up in the 70s and 80s. They're like, they'll tell you back then, we were looking forward to the future because we thought everything was going to be like, you know, we're going to have, the technology was going to be so crazy. And it is. It has evolved. Like, it is advanced technology. But now they're like, man, I kind of wish there wasn't so much technology. And I kind of miss how it used to be when we used to go outside and see our friends and stuff like that. So, and then, you know, I feel like that is just, every generation does that, where we kind of miss it, how it used to be. Kids living today are going to look back like 30 years from now and wish it was like this again. And it's just going to happen. But I don't know, like with phones and stuff like that, I just like, because you know how many times like every week I'm like, I'm going to do this on Saturday, I'm going to do all these things. Like, I have all these movies, I plan on watching them and stuff like that. And then like Sunday night, I've done zero.
Do you think that was any better at production though before so much stuff, or it would have been almost the same?
It's kind of like, well, I don't know. It's just one of those things where like I just want to do different things, something different, something that like it's not like the same old like every day I'm on my phone. Like you just want to do something different. And I think that's really what it really comes down to, is people just want to do something different. And then I think there is also a lot to say that social media has a lot of play on people's like mental health, as far as like depression, and I really feel like that's a real thing, because especially if you're scrolling social media and you're seeing what all your friends are doing, you're seeing all your friends that have like,
FOMO, right? Fear of missing out.
Yeah, and it's just like, and it's kind of like, man, and then you're not realizing, but by you doing that, you're kind of missing out on your own life, which you should be doing. But yeah, you're exactly right though. Like Sundays are like football days. You're just on the couch watching football and stuff, but yeah, it's just one of those things where like maybe we'll just never be happy. It's just one of those things where like, we want to be happy, but we never just will be. We're always looking for something to be upset about.
And I think it's easy to I think it might have been on Bill Maher, who I don't watch the show, but I watch clips online, and he always has interesting points. He had some person interviewed, and it was a historian, and just thinking about like how people are happy or not happy and how society evolves. And he said like good news happens slowly over decades, and it's not headline worthy ever either. Which is why like bad news tends to make headlines. It's like, well, people haven't died of bubonic plague in this many years. Like that's good news, but these things take years. And when good news is measured in years and bad news like in minutes and hours, and naturally it's not always earth-shattering news when good things happen, just because that happens over time, and like overall health and lifespans and quality of life, which by and large is better than it was when you look at large time spans. A couple hundred years ago, we'd be old guys in our 30s, and now people are living longer generally. Yes, Corona shortened the lifespans in 2020, but generally speaking, people are living longer now in chunks, and I think it's easy to look past. I heard one guy say something too one time, like any problem that you have, especially when it pertains to minorities or like gay, trans, different color skin people, all of these things, like tell your problems to someone in the same shoes as you 30 years ago, and they would probably laugh at your problems. Not that your problems aren't real, but like a black person, man, it's hard, which is true. I'm not a person of color, so I don't know what that's like, but it's probably different than getting shot at with a fire hose on a downtown street somewhere. It's probably different. And I think it's just easy to lose sight of that in the slow progression of good things.
I 100% agree. Like, what you think are your problems, and they are a problem, is still a problem no matter what. But when you just got to put into perspective what came before you, what happened before you, and stuff, and and also I guess kind of appreciate the good things that are going for you. Going
always.
For you.
Like that awareness and like gratitude for things that could have gone poorly and didn't.
And then especially like, just kind of live in the moment, enjoy life as you go. Like whenever you hear someone that had a loved one die, what do they always say? They always say, never take for granted for the people in your life. Always spend enough time, let them know every day how you feel about them and stuff like that, because that's very real. Like that's very real pain that people have in common, that like, and then when you see people have that pain, and it really shouldn't even be like that. You shouldn't have to hear that in order to remind yourself to like, spend some time with your loved ones, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. And not to mean to take this conversation on a dark path, but it's just living. It's just basically the point is just living in the moment. And I think sometimes social media can be a distraction in that.
I've heard people say too, if you go and talk with people in nursing homes, their regrets are so rarely things they did. It's always things they didn't do. Like you regret the things you didn't do more than what you did, because sometimes you have to pay for stuff you did if it's a bad decision. But when you're in a nursing home on your final lap around the world, like you think, oh, I should have done this, should have done this, should have done this.
And then also, I don't want to bash social media. Sometimes it is good. Like some friends, like, when you're busy and you have kids and stuff like that, you can't just hang out with your friends anytime you want anymore. You just can't. You just can't leave that. You can't just leave the kids at home to go do whatever you want. So, social media is good to like, which is really crazy, because like now we have the power to talk to any of our friends whenever we want. But when you ask people like, do you have any friends that you haven't spoke to in years? They're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, like just, Facebook friends you never talk to.
And that's what's so sad. So it's like we're spending all this time on our devices, and we could be connecting with old-time friends or any kind of relationships and stuff like that, but we just don't do it. And a lot of times you hear people say like, oh, well, they don't reach out to me, so I don't reach out to them. And it's just a never-ending cycle. And I don't know, it's just, but so in that, I do think social media is an improvement that we can socialize from our couches and talk to friends and stuff like that. I think it is good for that. But be constantly doing that and constantly just letting time slip by doing that, like if you are aware that it's a problem, then it probably is.
Yeah, it might be. What do we got next on our list?
Next one is, what is one social norm you do not agree with?
One social norm I don't agree with. I might need a second to think about that. Do you have any?
My thing is the whole, if you respond too quick to a text, you seem desperate. Or the reverse of that is expecting people to reply quickly. I feel like both of those are toxic expectation. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, if I get a message from someone and I see it, I'm going to respond as fast as I can. Now, if I'm driving or if I'm talking to somebody or I don't have an answer right away, because I don't want to just like, if it's a loaded question or a loaded thing, you're like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't go off the first thing I'm thinking of. But you hear that a lot in today's like dating world and stuff like that. A lot of rules you hear about people that date is don't text back too quickly because then you seem desperate. Never let any friends, anyone that you want to have a relationship with know that you're desperate, because for whatever reason, when it comes to friends, it comes off as a turnoff. Always, not just really, not just like a romantic thing, but just any friendship in general. But I don't agree with that. I think if you see the message, you should respond to the message. That doesn't say anything about you. That is just, I feel like that is just, one, it's polite, it's proper etiquette. And I would want someone to, if I'm asking them a question, I would want them to do that for me too. But it's a genuine thing. Like if I'm too busy or whatever, I'm probably not looking at my phone. I'm probably doing other things.
I think, I'm not an expert in psychology, but I think it does make someone more desirable in the dating situation, because there is always somewhat of a power dynamic or something like that. And I think the more busy, like, what is it, like the less you want someone, the more they want you, like that whole thing. And I think that's true. And I think it's one thing to like purposefully do it. And I'm not in the dating game a long time, but from what I hear like on the radio and TV and stuff, they say, well, instead of doing that, just make your life full and rich so you naturally have things going on. It's different than just pretending to I can't respond till tomorrow, so I don't seem like I'm too interested, or actually maybe do interesting things and then don't respond till you have a chance. I think it's
after you've been talking to somebody for a while, like if you've been engaging like in conversations through text and stuff, people are very smart and they pick up on things very quickly, and they tend to remember patterns. They tend to remember patterns. They know what time of, like, for instance, like if you are working throughout the day, they'll recognize that there's a certain amount of times of the day that you're texting back. It's either like on your break,
slow time.
Went during a slow time, or you're on your break. They know when you so like say like you have a 10-15 break, and you look at it, and they know you typically respond then, but for whatever reason, that time passed by and you didn't respond. They're like, okay, you had your break.
You had your time.
I know you saw it, so why didn't you?
That's like on iMessage, like the red receipt. Or, you know when somebody saw it, the two ones, right? There's a red receipt and the typing indicator. People are like on the edge of their seat, like, well, they're typing something, and then it goes away, and then it comes back again.
On Facebook Messenger, it's even worse because there's that green dot that says that you're active.
Well, that's right,
There's that green dot that says that you're active, so people can actually see that you've been on. So even if you didn't open the message,
so you're on Facebook and haven't responded,
and they know that you saw the bold print in your inbox. They know that you saw it, and you chose not to open it. People are smart. They pick up on patterns. You're not going to really fool anybody. And granted, there's always like, oh, I just got too bit, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, but you still had enough time to check your social media and stuff like that. Like, I just think when you see the message, if you're actually on your phone, open the message and respond appropriately. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like, oh, you got to have your phone on you all the time and respond to every message. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like, don't pretend to be something that you're not, just because you're afraid of what someone might have, you know, and afraid of giving off a false impression. Because, come on, like the whole like I'm way too busy is one of those overused things that a lot of people say. You're not too busy. 2 seconds is all it takes to respond to a message. You mean to tell me you had enough time to post that meme or like someone's comment? You had enough time for that, but you know, but also at the same time though, there could also be more to it than that, because like I said like earlier, sometimes I'll see a message that I don't have a response to, and I don't know what to say, so I'm afraid that if I look at it, they're going to be like, oh, he didn't respond to me. It's not that I didn't want to respond or whatever. It's just I didn't know what to say at that moment. You know what I'm saying? And that's real. That's real. That's why the reverse of this is to not expect a text back right away. Don't do that either. That's also toxic.
That's why I've become a bigger fan of, you can kind of like click on, I think it's through iMessage, which is like iPhone stuff, but you can do like a thumbs up or an acknowledgement, because sometimes there's nothing to say back, but it's an acknowledgement. Yes, I have seen this. I have seen it and read it, and that's sometimes all there is to say. Like, I have seen this.
Yeah, and also some people, you gotta know personalities. Some people don't do small talk. They don't like small talk, like meaningless talk that has no rhyme or reason.
Like your brother Matt. One word responses, he'll say word.
Well, the thing, some people like that, love that. Me, I'm that person. I love all the meaningless conversations. I like joking around. Like, I just like that. I like when people ask me questions. I like to be like that. But I recognize that not everyone's like that. Not everyone's like that. Some people want a actual purpose to being texted. They look at the message and say, oh, there's no real purpose to this. It's just being silly or goofy. And they're like, they're going to not respond, or you're not going to be on the priority of the inbox. And with some people,
it's not bad if it's in regular time. If it's like too early in the morning or too late at night, because some people like, we're at home by like 9 o'clock, tend to be mostly mostly asleep at that point. Or like a Saturday morning, someone, like the early risers, happy Sunday, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and you could do not disturb, but just be considerate of those time slots.
If you're sending somebody, I would say like me, if I'm sending something that means nothing, and they don't respond to it, I don't get upset by that, because I know it's just, it was a joke anyway, so it's not that serious. Now, if I send you a message being like, hey, you want to hang out with me this weekend, and you don't respond, that's a completely different, that to me would hurt my feelings. I would be like, okay, so if you looked at it and didn't respond, you know, I want people to be real. Tell me you don't want to go, say you don't want to see the movie, say you don't want to go to the movies, you'd rather spend time with your family. I would rather know the truth than you just like dodging it.
And that's hard for a lot of people, like to give the straight version of things. I struggle with that a lot. Just telling people sometimes like no, I really don't want to do that.
No, but I feel like that is the norm that we need to practice and be okay with, because I feel like we should always tell each other, like, if you don't want to do something, to say you don't want to do
There's a phrase that I've started using around myself, because as an effort to always be a better version of myself, like as a husband, as I go through in time, a phrase I've latched onto is responsible honesty. Because sometimes honesty just being mean and it's irresponsible, but sometimes people need to know the truth so you can move forward together knowing the truth. That's helpful. Like I really prefer not to do that. There's something else we can do instead. But like responsible, like it's a horrible idea. Why would you say that?
And it opens up, like, now that you can be comfortable with them now when they ask you to do something you don't want to do. Now you're like, you kind of have a good bond. Like, those are the best friendships, when you can actually tell each other how you feel and the other person doesn't get like tore up inside about it. You know what I mean? Like, because like we don't want to do things we don't want to do just for the sake of doing them to keep a friend. I feel like we're past that now. We don't need to do that. Let's just be real. If you don't want to do something, just say you don't want to do it.
And if they tell you the bad sides or things they don't want to do, then you believe the other sides too. Because like, they would have told me they didn't like it if they didn't want to do it.
Right, exactly. Because you know what though, and honestly, like if say I'm going to a like Six Flags or something with a friend that doesn't want to go, they're probably not going to be very fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it all works out. So, but anyways, like I said, like the whole don't believe that someone is desperate just because they're texting back too quickly. Don't think that that's how you look either. But you know, also like if you're busy, be actually busy.
Yeah.
Say be busy. Just don't just say you're busy, because I feel like if you get caught doing that, you actually look way worse.
That sounds just like being honest.
Yeah, just being real. Just be real. Yeah. But then also don't expect a text message right away, because that's also equally as bad, because you do got to recognize that people do work, have jobs, or driving, and maybe sometimes they just don't have an answer right away. You know, like they might have something, but it's not well thought out, because you know we all do that, where we need a moment to process how we actually feel. Yeah. You know, but yeah, that's all I got for that one.
I think we got time for one more.
One more, okay. All right, so this last one is, this last one is, what quality immediately makes a person attractive?
Immediately makes, well, for me, the first thing I noticed about Ben's sister, my wife, Karen, was she was really easy to talk to. And I'll be honest, because like I don't excel at random conversations with people. Like it takes me a while to kind of get in that feeling where I can talk with somebody, and immediately I knew with her, like, this is somebody I want to be around because I can actually interact with them easily. And that was something that immediately jumped out at me.
Yes, you hit it right on the head. You took my answer. That's mine. Easygoing, friendliness, easy to talk to, and then you know, because like I like to ask questions, I like to stuff like that. But I love it when people ask questions back. You know, equally trying to get to know me as I'm trying to get to know them. It's just the best, because like, yeah, there's a lot to say about looks and stuff. I think looks is a lot of people are like, oh, looks don't matter, blah blah. I feel like that's not necessarily true. Looks do matter. You know
I think looks matter, but they change over time. They change over time.
They change over time, but I feel like that is what always starts it off. You don't know someone's personality immediately amongst seeing them. You know what I mean? You just don't. That's not realistic. But I think that helps keep things go even further, because we see attractive people every day. Every day. Do we go up and talk to them? No. Not all of them. I see, you know, like, but what makes me want to go talk to them though? Yeah, just because they're attractive. Like, I still need a reason to go talk to them. Oh, it's because they're probably inviting. They're inviting to talk to. They're, you know, acknowledging me just like I'm acknowledging them. That is a huge, like, you want to be around people that are like that. So I think that's the first thing I always notice in someone is how friendly are they. Like, we don't have to like the same things. We don't have to like have the same ideas or agree on everything. But is it an easy go with the flow conversation? Do we gel? You know, and I think that's very important and very attractive.
So easy to talk to. So that's that'll round up the Daily Crew episode number 5. And keep watching and listening. We got some guests we're got in the pipeline on the way. So thedailycrew.com, and check it out on Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. You'll be able to see or listen as we go. Thank you for watching and for listening.
Later.